Let's go straight to our conversation now with Mr. Bismarck Rewani, who is the CEO and Managing Director of Financial Derivatives Company. Good morning to you, and thank you so much for braving the traffic and getting here on time. Well,
it was a breeze.
It was a breeze.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so just talk us through what's going on, in the market. I know that this week has been a very eventful week for Nigerians and for, of course, other political economic watchers. Starting from Monday, GDP coming in negative, the MPC also not giving any silver lining on the clouds, on the dark clouds, if you'd like. Just give us your perspectives about the state of the economy.
Simply put, as you can see from the slides, holding the can and passing the buck. The MPC did nothing. There were very limited options they had, but they did nothing. What was expected, because of the 3 consecutive quarters of increasing negative growth, it was expected that some comments will be made about interest rates and about the CRR. Obviously, the fear that if you put more liquidity into the system, it will put pressure on the exchange rate was what dominated the discussion. However, if you listen to the discussion, there was already the issue about the forex market. Nobody wanted to talk about that. An inefficient forex market will always manifest itself in GDP growth that is magnifying itself negatively. So if you take a look at the GDP growth, the key areas, oil production down, -17 all the way to 22. But more important is trading and manufacturing, which constitutes over 11 and another 15% of total GDP. Trading and manufacturing actually magnified in the range by 46%, that is from minus, and then the other one by about 460%, that is trading. As long those people were victims of an illiquid foreign exchange market and uncertainty. However, we must note that what has happened is that over the period, in the third quarter, which we are talking about, third quarter was when we liberalized the market and when the forwards were settled on the 29th of September. So the third quarter, the central bank put in the money, but it was put on a forward basis, which was okay, and which encouraged everything, the positive news that we have. But the point is that consistently, we have refused to fund the market because certainly we didn't have the money, but secondly, even if you are funding it, it had to be funded in a regular rather than a spasmodic manner. And that is what created the problem. Now, so what next? The next point is that we need to know that then the central bank said that securitization of federal government debt is the issue. That's yesterday's news. The federal government of Nigeria says that they've already told contractors we're going to securitize their debt. They've already issued bonds and they're going to borrow internationally to substitute part of the domestic debt. So that's not the issue. The issue is that do you have a forex market that is efficient, transparent, and liquid? The point is that central bank, with all the good intentions in the world, are trying their best, but they are unable to achieve that. So a customer today, every corporate client today will tell you that, yes, we hear the official rate is 305. Ask them, they're not getting money at 305. They're getting money at a rate much higher than that, if they get it at all. So there's need to reform the market. Intentions and goodwill will not see an efficient foreign exchange market.
Reforming the market, could you talk a little bit more about that?
Reforming the market means that rather than wait for 2 months and do a forward auction of $700 million, right? You can put in $20 or $30 million a day regularly, so people know they can predict, they can plan. Right now, it's irregular, spasmodic, and uncertain. Nobody knows what's going to happen, and that uncertainty feeds a price premium. When we did the PPP analysis, the true economic value of the naira today is about 327 naira. But the market value of the naira as of after the auction, after the MPC, was 470. And today I can assure you it's going to close even probably lower. Why? Why is there a big difference between the market value and the economic value? Because people are afraid, people are uncertain, and there's illegitimacy. There are all sorts of things happening.
But then you see, the Central Bank of Nigeria has tried to, as much as possible, rein in that speculative trading that we've been seeing, encouraging more international money transfer operators to partake in the market. But that seems not to be making any dent at all.
See, the job of a regulator is to put the rules, set the rules. The job of the market is to determine the price. You do not set the price. If you, the Central Bank governor, in addressing the issues at the MPC meet, after the MPC meeting, question and answer, use the word, we have asked the banks to allocate to manufacturers, we've asked the bank to allocate for agriculture, we've asked the bank to allocate to the real sector. 3 times they use the word allocation. Markets don't, when you use the word allocation, it's not in the market you sell. You don't go to Okeari market and ask for allocation, you sell in the market. So a policymaker wants that to happen because obviously the real sector is where the jobs are. The real sector is where there's productivity. The real sector is what's happening. That's a wish and that's good.
Okay.
But the market reality is that you've got to have a price that clears the market.
So why is the market pricing the Naira at 305 to the dollar? Why is it?
The market is not pricing the Naira. That is a price that is published on the Reuters screen. You go and ask anybody whether he's getting money at 305.
Okay.
You try and get
Some are getting at 470.
Absolutely. So why would I leave 305 and go and buy money at 470? Only a madman would do that. The reality is that we had that same situation. Remember, when we had SSS and DSS going to close down petrol stations, they were shutting down this, doing that, the queues continued. But once we allowed the price move to 145, the queues disappeared. You cannot fix and regulate a price.
Okay, so when we come back in just a bit, you still talk to us about who is setting the rates. The market is supposed to be determining the rates, of course, but why is it that we seem to have an issue with it going up as high as it is?
Yeah.
Business Morning will be back in just a moment.